Now, the activist Tommy Robinson has been sentenced to 18 months in jail for contempt of court. He pleaded guilty after repeating false claims against a Syrian refugee, breaking a High Court order.
The 41-year-old admitted to 10 breaches, including airing a film called Silenced, containing these allegations. Now, his supporters in court waved and blew kisses as Robinson was led away.
So, are we in danger of making Tommy Robinson a martyr? Let's talk to the Labour activist and writer Aisha Ali Khan. Aisha Ali Khan, he's gone to prison for 18 months. The judge was very tough on him. He pleaded guilty to contempt, but has he accepted? Did he accept that he had been lying about this Syrian refugee?
Well, let's go back to events in 2018 when these comments were originally made against a Syrian refugee. He was only a teenager, and obviously there followed a successful libel case against Tommy Robinson, and since that point he was banned from mentioning the original libel in 2018 and also anything else to do with the case. Obviously he breached this. He had a film that came out last year in 2023, and these proceedings that took place yesterday relate to that case from last year. So it's quite interesting, the release of the film last year. So it's quite interesting that obviously Tommy Robinson has argued that this is his sort of freedom of speech, right? He can say what he wants to, he has every right to, but there are court orders in place from 2021 banning him from mentioning the same libel that he was basically successfully sued for. And that's the whole purpose of yesterday's hearing, and the sentence reflects the fact that he deliberately repeated the same libel, not just on this documentary or this film that he made, but then subsequently a number of times when he gave media interviews. So it's quite interesting that he was actually aware that there would be proceedings in October. He was arrested in July this year, and he was bailed, and he was told to expect a custodial sentence.
So do you think that actually this is a deliberate ploy to get attention or to gain support by making it appear that he has been jailed and that his free speech is under threat, and so he's actually done this on purpose? Is that your belief?
I mean, look, I don't know what goes on in Tommy's mind. If I was a cynical person, I'd say absolutely. And it's not just about making himself into a martyr for freedom, for being a free speech warrior. He does make a lot of money from donations from his supporters. I read reports that he'd been donated something close to nearly £100,000 on the back of this, of him being taken into custody on Friday. So it's not just about appearing to be a martyr or trying to become a victim. There is definitely a monetary purpose behind this, and I wouldn't want to speculate what goes on in his mind, but I do feel that these things we cannot overlook, we cannot ignore the elements, the monetary value, the monetary elements and so on behind all of this.
The suggestion is, Aisha, that he'll have to serve his time in prison in solitary confinement.
Oh, I don't know about that, and it would be wrong of me to speculate or make comment about this. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the ins and outs of the proceedings. Of course, there are comments made online. There are lots and lots of people that are angry and upset about this, and they're defending what Tommy has done and so on. But I couldn't possibly make any comments about whether he's in solitary confinement or not. As far as I'm concerned, that is something that's only given to very serious offenders, and if something has definitely an incident has taken place.
I think the suggestion is it's for his own safety.
Again, I have no idea why these comments or the suggestions are, and I wouldn't be able to speculate or comment. But who would he be in danger from? That's another question mark right there.
Are you worried about the protests that we've seen at the weekend on both sides? Do you think this will spark further protests?
Absolutely. Anything that leads to division amongst our communities is a worry for me. And obviously we saw these riots that took place not long ago. We saw how people reacted on misinformation. And people like Tommy Robinson, in my opinion, they thrive on spreading misinformation. They thrive on divisions between communities and causing mayhem, because it means they get more followers. It means there's chaos. And again, like I've just mentioned, there are monetary implications for this as well, where he gets donations.
But isn't the problem that because people, although whatever you think of Tommy Robinson, he has a big following because he's voicing concerns that many people feel about immigration. And isn't the problem that people on the mainstream, both on the right and left, for too long have not talked about this issue? Isn't that why he's got such a big following?
I actually would disagree. I think immigration is one aspect. We've had conversations. I mean, Tommy Robinson has been around for quite some time now. And his obviously sort of the stance he's taken is that people that have come to this country, they're abusing young girls and so on. And again, look, I'm from a town called Keighley, and we had an amazing MP called Anne Cryer who first highlighted a lot of what was happening with grooming gangs, and she was initially ridiculed. Not many people believed her, and it was only when Andrew Norfolk from the Times came forward and started writing about this when we were able to highlight. And I was part of that process in making people become aware of what was going on and so on. But people like Tommy Robinson, what they, in my opinion, they are there to cause division. They are there to take advantage of people not liking each other, hating each other, and so on. And I think a lot of it does come down to exploiting people's fears about people looking different to them, why they're here, what they're doing, are they coming over to take our jobs, our homes, our have relationships with our women and so on. So there's definitely a lot of fear mongering that underpins a lot of what Tommy Robinson does, and then obviously that leads to divisions and problems within community cohesion and so on.
OK, that's Aisha Ali Khan. Well, let's talk to somebody who was at one of those demonstrations at the weekend. It's the former independent MP, Andrew Bridgen. Andrew Bridgen, morning to you. Long time no speak. Are you part of this problem that's deliberately fanning the flames of misinformation to provoke racial unrest?
Certainly not. And if you'd come down yourself to the event on Saturday, you'd have seen 50,000 salt of the earth, very well behaved people, a very diverse crowd, mostly Christians, actually. And what you've just heard from the Labour activist is pure disinformation. Yes, Tommy Robinson was involved in a libel case relating to a minor who was a Syrian refugee, an altercation in a school. He was found guilty of libel. He did an investigation, uncovered a lot of facts which would completely destroy the case against him and the media narrative around that incident. Tens of millions of people have watched Silenced. I suggest that, Andrew and Miriam, you watch it yourself and then judge whether, acting as a journalist in the public interest, Tommy Robinson did the right thing by releasing that evidence, vital evidence, which the court was seeking to suppress. He's now got an 18-month prison sentence. And obviously, I think what people will think is we have a two-tier justice system where anyone who goes against the narrative is vilified. He will be spending it in solitary confinement. I'm told he'll be in the Ian Huntley suite. I would suggest that what he's done, releasing vital information, which tens of millions of people have watched, and the overwhelming majority would agree that he should have released it, and compare that with the justice that's being handed out to other people. Indeed, a Labour MP who has been videoed punching a constituent on the ground repeatedly.
Well, he is yet to be tried. But Andrew,
but he's not been arrested. Can you imagine if one of the peaceful protesters at the event on Saturday had done that to a member of
but Andrew, lots of people will be
bystander.
Lots of people will be,
he would have been arrested and charged.
But lots of people will be very sympathetic to a lot of what Tommy Robinson says and stands for. And as we've just been saying with the previous guest, a lot of the problem is that the mainstream politicians just haven't spoken about the issues that are so concerning to many people. But Andrew, he is no angel. He's been in prison before for mortgage fraud. He's committed other offences. Isn't it the case that, as well as voicing, very understandable concerns, there's also an element of this that is about his own following, his own reputation, perhaps even his own financial interests?
Well, I think without freedom of speech, Miriam, we have no freedom at all. Every other freedom we have in this country.
But we have freedom of speech within the law, and we have libel laws and slander laws, and for those very reasons, you can't say whatever you like.
Have you watched the video?
No, I haven't watched the video, Andrew, no.
Well, I really suggest you watch it, see the quality of the journalism, the quality of the undercover investigation, interviewing the headmaster of the school in question, who says that they've been paid money to keep quiet. They've all signed NDAs and taken £10,000 to stay quiet. Nothing reported in the mainstream media. And yes, and you know from the House of Commons, there's many things that the House of Commons don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about Peter Lynch and the death of a 61-year-old grandfather. They don't want to talk about Tommy Robinson. They don't want to talk about excess deaths. They don't want to talk about the vaccine arms. They don't want to talk about the WHO. And they're not even going to talk now about the European Defence and Securities Union.
Yeah, but let's go back to the point here. He pleaded guilty in court yesterday to contempt of court.
He did release the film. Yes, he breached that.
So he broke the law. He pleaded guilty. He's been sent to prison. Isn't that the right thing?
We should all be under the law, but should the law also should be applied equally? What about Hugh Edwards?
All right. Andrew, we're straying off the point. Andrew, you've had your point. You've had your say. That's Andrew Bridgen, the former independent MP. He cites really strong views and feelings, but at the end of the day, he pleaded guilty to contempt of court, and the judge is sent him to prison for 18 months.
And of course, you know, there'll be many people watching who think that what Tommy Robinson is trying to do in the things he's trying to expose is worth a thing. But the things that he is standing up for, the foundation of this country is the rule of law. Yeah. And if you break the law, especially if you plead guilty, then obviously going to prison is what happens.
We weren't shutting Andrew Bridgen down, but Andrew Bridgen was now going to introduce Hugh Edwards into this. Hugh Edwards did not break the law. He may have behaved inappropriately.
Well, he did. He just didn't receive a prison sentence. He was found in possession of child abuse.
He did break the law, and it was appalling. But I still.
It's a different crime.
It's a different crime. This was involved, and contempt of court for judges is a very, very serious issue. It always has been, and you may argue that what Hugh Edwards did was more serious. I, for one, was surprised he didn't get a custodial sentence. But
he should have done.
The bloke who supplied him, the bloke who supplied him with the hideous paedophilic material didn't go to prison either, which is why Hugh Edwards didn't go to prison.
But I think the measure is always. Do you think that the same punishment or restriction should apply to your political enemies? And if you do, then it's fair.